Have you ever felt like you see things that others don't? Like you understand people too deeply, and it's exhausting. You read a room in seconds. You feel what others feel, even when they try to hide it. You notice the tension behind the smile, the pain behind the laughter, the fear behind the confidence. You see through masks, and for a while, you might think it's a superpower, until it starts to hurt. Because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. And the more you notice, the lonelier it gets. Carl Jung talked about this kind of perception. He called it differentiated perception, a level of awareness that few people reach. It's the ability to see through illusions, both yours and others. It sounds beautiful, almost spiritual, but Jung warned it can be dangerous, because when you see too much, you carry too much. When you feel everything, you start to lose yourself in the noise of other people's emotions. Jung once wrote that those who see clearly what others cannot often become mirrors society can't stand to look into. The clearer your vision, the more you make others uncomfortable. Not because you're wrong, but because you're right. You become too intense, too serious, too deep. You start to question things others ignore. You notice lies that people tell themselves just to get through the day. You sense what's beneath their words: fear, guilt, regret, shame. You see the truth, and people don't always like the truth. So you start to tone yourself down. You pretend not to notice. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You play along even when your intuition is screaming that something's off, because it's easier that way. Easier to blend in than to always be the one who sees too much. But deep down, you know you can't go back. You can't force yourself to be blind again. Once you've awakened, you can't go back to sleep. And that's where the curse begins. Jung realized that people like this, the ones who see deeper than others, often suffer, not because they're weak, but because they're awake in a world that prefers to stay asleep. You might feel misunderstood, even alienated. You might feel like no one gets you. You talk about things like purpose, truth, authenticity, while others just want to talk about gossip, trends, or money. And slowly, you start to withdraw. You become more quiet, more selective with who you share your thoughts with. Jung believed that this process, this painful awareness, is actually a step in the evolution of consciousness. It's what happens when your mind starts seeing not just the world, but the layers beneath it. He compared it to light. The brighter it shines, the more shadows it reveals. And maybe that's what's happening to you. Maybe you're not too sensitive. Maybe you're just aware. Maybe your gift is your mind's way of growing, even if it hurts. The truth is, seeing deeply means feeling deeply, and feeling deeply means you'll carry pain others don't even notice. You'll cry for things they laugh about. You'll get tired of shallow conversations. You'll crave honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. It's not that you expect perfection. You just want real. You want people to face their truth the same way you do. But that's not easy for everyone. Most people hide behind roles, masks, and identities they built to survive. And when you show them who they really are, they see it as an attack. That's why Jung said, the greatest burden of the awakened soul is to live among those who refuse to see. You can't teach awareness to someone who isn't ready. You can only learn how to handle your own. So maybe the question isn't, why do I see what others don't? Maybe it's, what do I do with this vision? Because it's not just about knowing, it's about learning how to carry it. Jung called this process individuation, the integration of what you see into who you are, without losing your peace. You can't reject your insight, but you also can't drown in it. You need balance. You need to build walls, not to block the world out, but to protect your own mind from collapsing under the weight of everything you feel. You need to learn when to listen and when to let go, when to care and when to detach, when to observe and when to act. Because seeing too much can destroy you, but it can also transform you. If you handle it right, it becomes wisdom. If you let it control you, it becomes chaos. So if you ever wondered why you feel different, distant, or misunderstood, remember this: you are not broken. You are just awake in a world that's still dreaming. And maybe That's what Jung wanted us to understand. The gift that feels like a curse is actually the beginning of becoming who you truly are. When Jung studied people who saw more than others, the ones who could read a person's soul in a glance, he noticed something strange. They all carried a kind of sadness, a quiet, invisible weight, like they knew something they wished they didn't. Seeing too much comes with a price, and if you don't understand that price, it can destroy you from the inside. Jung said, there are dangers in perception, not because knowledge is bad, but because awareness changes how you experience everything. Once you see, you can't go back, and that can be heavy. The three main dangers of seeing too much. Isolation. When awareness separates you, you start feeling like you live in a different world than everyone else. You watch people fight over things that don't matter, chase illusions that lead nowhere, and lie to themselves to feel safe. And you wonder, why can't they see it? You try to explain, but they call you negative, overthinking, or too deep. So you stop trying. You start living more in your head than in the world. It's not that you hate people, you just can't connect the same way anymore. You see their fears, their defenses, their unspoken motives, and sometimes it's painful to pretend you don't. Jung believed this happens because consciousness isolates by nature. The more aware you become, the fewer people can truly meet you at that level. It's like being on a mountain. The higher you climb, the fewer people you find. The view is beautiful, but it's quiet up there. Still, isolation isn't punishment. It's part of awakening. It teaches you to enjoy solitude, to be your own company, to find meaning in stillness. But if you resist it, it can feel like exile. Absorption. When empathy becomes self-destruction, when you feel so deeply that you start to lose yourself. You walk into a room and instantly feel who's sad, angry, anxious, pretending to be fine. You absorb their energy like a sponge. And after a while, you don't know which emotions are yours anymore. You become tired, heavy, drained, without even knowing why. That's the dark side of empathy. It's not weakness, it's overexposure. Jung warned that this happens when the boundary between your unconscious and the collective unconscious becomes too thin. In simple terms, you start feeling other people's shadows as if they were your own. You carry everyone's weight, but forget your own strength. You try to heal people who don't want to heal. You try to save people who don't want to be saved. And slowly, you break down. There's a line that I think about often. You can't pour from an empty cup. Being aware doesn't mean taking on everyone's pain. It means understanding it, without becoming it. That's hard, but it's necessary. You need to learn how to feel with others, not for them. You need to learn to witness without drowning. That's maturity. That's Jung's kind of awareness, compassionate but contained. Collapse. When vision turns into chaos, it happens when your mind sees too much, too fast, and can't handle it. When every pattern, every emotion, every symbol hits you all at once. Jung saw this often in people going through spiritual awakenings, deep introspection, or creative breakthroughs. He said they were possessed by the unconscious. Their awareness outgrew their stability. They became flooded by insight but lacked the tools to process it. It's like turning on every light in the house at once. You see everything, but it's blinding. And that's when people start to lose touch with themselves. They can't tell what's real anymore. They mistake their intuition for prophecy, their thoughts for fate, their emotions for truth. Seeing too much without grounding yourself can lead to madness. Jung experienced that himself during his confrontation with the unconscious. He almost lost his mind, but he didn't. He listened to it. He wrote, he painted, he turned chaos into meaning. That's how he created his greatest work. He didn't reject what he saw. He learned how to hold it. That's the key. If you can hold what you see, without letting it consume you, you grow stronger. If you can't, it breaks you. So yes, there are dangers in seeing too much: isolation, absorption, collapse. But none of them are punishments. They're warnings. They remind you that awareness comes with responsibility, that the light of consciousness must be balanced with the grounding of reality. You can't just open your eyes, you have to strengthen your mind, otherwise you'll see everything and understand nothing. Jung said that every insight, every deep truth must pass through the body, through experience, before it becomes wisdom. That's why awareness isn't about knowing more, it's about becoming more, wiser, calmer, stronger. So if you've felt any of these dangers, if you've pulled away from people, felt drained, or confused by your own thoughts, understand this. It's not that you're broken, it's that your mind is growing faster than your world. You just need time to catch up with yourself. Because the truth isn't here to destroy you, it's here to wake you up. And when you learn how to carry it, the curse turns into clarity. The isolation turns into solitude. The exhaustion turns into empathy. And the chaos becomes meaning. That's the transformation Jung talked about. Not avoiding darkness, but integrating it. So what do you do when you see too much? When your mind doesn't shut up? When you feel everything? The lies, the fear, the pain, not just in others, but in yourself. You don't run from it. You learn how to carry it. That's what Jung discovered after years of battling his own mind. For him, seeing too much wasn't the end. It was the beginning of transformation. He believed that awareness is only dangerous when you don't know how to hold it. It's like fire. In the wrong hands, it burns everything. In the right hands, it lights the way. And that's your job now. To learn how to hold the fire, understand what belongs to you and what doesn't. You can't save everyone. You can't fix everyone. You're not supposed to. When you absorb other people's emotions, you lose the boundary between your soul and theirs. You start living their story instead of your own. Jung said that one of the hardest tasks of awareness is learning to differentiate, to recognize what's mine and what's not mine. Ask yourself, is this pain mine, or did I pick it up from someone else? Is this fear real, or is it something I sensed from the world around me? If it's not yours, let it go. You don't have to carry what doesn't belong to you. This doesn't make you cold or detached. It makes you wise, because you can't pour light into the world if your hands are full of other people's shadows. It's easy to analyze everyone else, to see through their lies, their projections, their pain. But Jung said that until you face your own shadow, you'll keep seeing it in others. You'll call it intuition. But it's really projection. You can't heal what you refuse to look at. That's why self-awareness begins with courage, not the kind that fights, but the kind that looks honestly. Ask yourself, what part of me am I avoiding? What emotion do I keep hiding behind logic? What truth about myself scares me the most? The shadow isn't evil. It's just unlived life. It's all the potential you buried because you were told it was too much, too emotional, or too strange. The more you face it, the more energy you get back, the less power your darkness has over you. That's how awareness becomes wisdom, when you stop running from yourself. Awareness can make you isolate yourself, but isolation can turn insight into delusion. Jung warned about this. He said that when the conscious mind separates completely from the world, the unconscious takes over. That's when vision becomes hallucination, and intuition turns into obsession. You need anchors, people, routines, body, nature. Meditate, but also move, reflect, but also act, feel deeply, but come back to reality. Because wisdom isn't in floating above life, it's in walking through it with open eyes. You can be awake and grounded. You can see deeply and live simply. That's what integration looks like. Your awareness isn't random. It's meant to serve something. Maybe you're meant to teach, maybe to create, maybe just to love people more honestly. Whatever it is, use it. Jung believed that awareness without expression turns toxic. It builds up until it consumes you from the inside. So talk, write, paint, help, share. Turn what you see into something others can understand. That's how consciousness evolves, through communication, through courage. Don't hide your gift just because the world doesn't understand it yet. Every person who ever saw too much, from Nietzsche to Dostoevsky to Jung himself, was misunderstood first, respected later. That's the path of the seer. Seeing too much doesn't mean you're cursed. It means you've been trusted with a deeper level of truth. But truth without balance becomes suffering. Balance turns it into strength. That's the difference between the person who breaks and the person who grows. They both see the same truth, but one carries it wisely. And carrying it wisely means you stop judging others for being asleep. You stop fighting to prove you're right. You start focusing on your peace instead of their blindness. You can't wake everyone up. Some people need their dreams. Let them sleep. You just keep walking, aware, grounded, peaceful, because the point of awareness isn't to separate yourself from the world, but to understand it better. You don't need to fix the world, just embody what you've learned. That's how change actually happens. Maybe this is what Jung was trying to tell us all along, that the danger of seeing what others don't isn't the seeing itself. It's forgetting how to live after you've seen. Awareness doesn't make you special. It makes you responsible. Responsible for your mind, for your energy, for how you use what you see. So, if you feel like you see too much, remember, you're not crazy, you're not broken, you're just aware. And with awareness comes the chance to live fully, love deeply, and see clearly, without losing yourself in the process. You don't need to stop seeing. You just need to learn how to see wisely. That's what makes the gift no longer a curse, but a calling. You're not here by accident. If you're drawn to understanding yourself on a deeper level, the way Jung intended, this channel is for you. Subscribe and join a community of people who don't just see but understand.